lies. It was just
bullshit. What's the difference?
It wasn't lies. It was
just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit. The proper way to say it. No lies, just bullshit.
Who said liar? I said bullshit artist. And what's the difference? Because I don't lie.
Hello and welcome to No Lies, Just Bullshit. I'm your host, Nick Swartz. Thank you so much for tuning in to your favorite, number one, longest running, most handsome, absolute best fucking tattoo podcast on planet Earth. This is episode 384, I believe. Before we get into that, a couple things. First weekend in November, Norfolk Convention. JD Crow, Alley Cat Tattoo, all my homies. I'm really looking forward to it. I talked to Wrath today. He's coming in from Hawaii, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but the trophies at this year's convention will be like sculptures that he's painting, and it's real exciting, good stuff. He's the best. Crow's the best. Norfolk's the best. I really look forward to it, and can't wait to see everybody there, man. It's always a nice mix of people who are pushing the envelope today and people who are credited with building this thing up of ours and making tattooing so great. Also, it's a little ways out, but I'm still working on crafting the roster, but in honor of Alley Cat Tattoo's 25th anniversary, we are having a tattoo convention at the shop. It goes by the name of the Shenandoah Rose, and it's going to be held the August 7th, 8th, and 9th. That's the first full weekend in August of next year. That's 2026. 7th, 8th, and 9th. Plan on being in Harrisonburg, Virginia if you love tattoos. I'm going to have some of the greatest tattooers on the planet. Tattoo collectors from all over. You should come and get, tattooed by somebody. If you might find somebody from Florida, you might find somebody from California, you might find somebody from in between, maybe some Europe. It's hard to say, but there's going to be the greats are going to be here. And I've got about half my list, and I'm still working on it. I have everybody that I want. It doesn't always work out that way. I'm going to give my crew the weekend off, and we're going to bring in some guests, and it's going to be epic. Trying to fill the spot that Pagoda filled, It's going to be warm. I understand that, but it's going to be worth it. I just didn't want to step on the toes of any other existing conventions and, just want to sort of move into that slot because I do plan on doing it annually if everything goes well. So the Shenandoah Rose, coming soon with the artwork, coming soon with the roster, and I can't wait to do it. Also, I want to urge everyone who is a fan of this show to also check out and tune into Shop Talk on No Lies Just BS YouTube page. So we've been doing it 4 months now or something like that. I think we've got 18 episodes out, maybe. We have 25 episodes out. So, we got a bunch. And then we're doing these chronicles, which are just me telling stories from Clifton Forge or from my life on the road or from life in the tattoo shops. And, so just putting out some video content to hope you guys dig it. It's pretty much for the same audience that enjoys this show will enjoy that stuff. And Shop Talk over there is what it always should have been. It's got my boy Andrew Connor and Chris Porter. Our pal Avery does all the production for that. And, go over and check it out. If you enjoyed Shop Talk on No Lies Just Bullshit, you're going to enjoy it much, much more on No Lies Just BS YouTube page because it's what it should have always been. You can actually visually see the tattoos that we're talking about as we talk about them. And so it's just the right way. And it's finally here. So please go check that out. Subscribe to the page, all that stuff. Tell your homies, tell your mama. I think that's about it, man. Other than just summer winding down and... school's back and fucking college is in and all this other stuff. So anyway, this week's episode is my friend Jerry Duncan. And Jerry is in his 70s. And he is someone, I met him at the old shop at Alley Cat Tattoo down the street here on 990 Reservoir. And he got heavily tattooed as a young man, big forearm pieces, big upper arm pieces. And he came into the shop after he had just had a tragedy in his life. And I was talking to Andrew about portraits and charcoals even maybe. And he's just someone that from the day I met him, I enjoyed having a conversation with him. He's done a lot. He's been a lot of places. He's been in every branch of the armed forces. He's been overseas. He's been home. He's been all around. And He's a good storyteller, and it's a good crossover for someone who, for me, he's Southern, which is always something that I enjoy. I enjoy talking to him, but I like talking to a couple of Yankees here and there too. But he's just a good fella. He's a father. He's a husband. He's just a friend, man. I really, really appreciate his take on life, and every time I see him, if one of the times I ran into him, I walked down the street and he's sitting in a barber chair at a barber shop, and I ran in there to talk to him. I've seen him in stores, I see him here and there, and he comes by the tattoo shop and kicks it. And last time he came to kick it, I just grabbed him and said, "Hey man, let's have this conversation. Let's pour a little bit of bourbon and let's have this conversation." And he was kind enough to oblige me on the spot, and I really enjoyed it. And this is my friend Jerry Duncan. No lies, just bullshit.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag, ooh, they're red, white, and blue. And when the band plays hail to the chief, ooh, they point the cannon at you, Lord. It ain't me, I ain't no senator, song. It ain't me, I ain't no fortunate wrong. Some folks are
Hi, Jerry. What year and where were you born?
In Anderson, South Carolina.
It'll pick you up good. Stay comfortable.
I was comfortable. I was comfortable. In Anderson, South Carolina, 1941.
1941.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've never been to Anderson. What kind of place is it? How big a place?
Oh boy, it's you would ask that question. It's it was a mill town. You know what I mean by mill town?
Yeah.
It was a mill town. We lived on a mill village. Mm-hmm. My father was a mill worker, had a cabinet shop too, and he worked hard. He worked really hard, and we kids just grew up there. It was that all the houses were the same, basically row houses, but not joined. You know, and the town was split. You were from the business side, or you're from the, I think proletariat would be the term.
Yeah.
And if you were proletariat spawn, as we were, then you were a second-class citizen.
Yeah.
And the business suit, slacks, and tie-wearing public, well, they were special.
And did you feel that class difference when you moved around town and stuff?
That class difference was was thrown in your face all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
How many siblings and stuff? Was your mom around too?
Oh yeah. Mother, father.
Yeah.
Had 2 sisters and 1 brother.
And where'd you fall in that order?
Number 4.
Number 4. Okay. Baby boy.
Yeah, baby boy with the gray hair.
Yeah. And so were you surrounded by, you said you lived in Rose and other families, I'm assuming there was other kids. Did you have extended family, cousins and stuff? Did you, in the South, even if we don't live together, we make a tendency to see one another, to try to, twice a year maybe or whatever. Did you have that sort of thing?
We did. My family was the typical Southern extended group. Mm. On Sundays we had the dinner on the grounds of somebody's house.
Yeah.
And all the women would get together, they'd cook up this great meal.
Yeah.
And we just ate until we popped and just enjoyed it.
Church? Should we go to church?
And we had the kids in the neighborhood running the streets, just if you get the feeling of a neighborhood, of row houses, of kids playing willy-nilly, playing stickball in the street until the street lights came on.
Yeah.
Of occasionally trying to knock out the street lamps because the bulb was bare and hanging out of a socket.
Yeah. Did you go to church on Sunday?
I did. I had cousins.
Yeah.
Older, of course. I was the baby of the family, so they came around and we all went to church on Sunday. We'd go to places. We'd go to different church.
Very traditional Southern family.
Traditional, wasn't the least bit phony. My family was not phony.
Yeah.
It was a very real family.
Like real characters?
Real characters.
Yeah.
But characters they were.
Anybody stand out? Anybody in particular you want to tell me about?
Well, I could talk about my father,
Let's hear
but
it.
I already did a little bit.
What was his name?
Jesse Lee.
Jesse Lee.
He was a bull of a man. He was a powerful guy.
Yeah.
By comparison, I'm about 1/3 him.
Okay.
He was a bull of a man. He worked a lot. He relegated, not by choice. He just did it. He worked, and my mother worked too. But her work was in the house. His work was outside the house.
Yeah. Yeah.
I used to enjoy going places with him to build cabinets into people's houses for a cabinet shop. For example, if you needed cabinets in this place, he wouldn't make them and bring them in. He built them into your house.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
custom.
So was he? Was he close to his kids? Was he a tender type fella, or was he?
Oh, he was.
Yeah, that's great.
He was not a mean daddy at all. He's spot on.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear. Because I told you a little bit about my father.
Yes.
He was kind of a wild drug addict, and my stepdad, who taught me how to work and taught me how to, kill a deer and gut it and cook and things like that. He was also kind of a wild, like mountain man, but firm and hard to get close to. I wasn't really close to him until I was an adult. We had difficulties, as a child, and so whenever like my buddy Jake that works here, he's got his dad's the coolest. His dad's been on here before, and they come from Woodstock area, and his dad's the football coach of the high school there, and everywhere they go, hey coach, everyone stops him. He did weightlifting, he did conditioning for all these kids for 25 years, and everyone knows him as coach, and he's just so loved. But he also has time for his own children, and he's great with them. And so I'm just always pleased when I hear that stuff, because I had a grandfather who was an incredible man, but he wasn't. He taught me how to save money and that sort of thing. He gave me someone to disappoint. I walked away from doing a lot of dumb shit because I thought, how would my granny and granddad feel about this? You know what I mean? And if I didn't have that,
Well, you'd have done dumb shit.
I'd have done dumb shit. Yeah, absolutely.
Probably did some anyway.
I did, but I drew the line at robberies and things like that.
Yeah.
My buddies were doing some of those things, and I was on the cusp of it. But I just thought, man, if it would devastate my grandparents if I did something, got in trouble like this.
That's good.
And
Because, that's real good. I think that looking back, I asked that question of myself too when I was a kid. What would my parents say about this?
Yeah,
And I did or didn't do it.
yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I don't look to another man for approval in my life now because I never was able to when I was young, really. But I definitely consider how my grandfather would feel about something. When I started getting a lot of tattoos, my grandparents, who I was very close to, were very disappointed. These were not super religious people, but they went to church. Church for some people just keeps them in line. It just keeps them, in the middle. And that was kind of what it was for my granny. She went to church out of habit and out of like the hope that it would rub off on her grandkids, But when I started getting a lot of tattoos, she started developing dementia. And he just was focused on her. And they were both very disappointed. They did not like it. They thought it meant that I was changing in a bad way. And they thought that there had to be some sort of negative influence, drugs, alcohol, whatever.
Something, yeah.
And their son, my father, was a bad guy. They knew it.
He have tattoos?
Not really. He had one or two, but they just thought, well, if he was a bad guy, my grandson could potentially be a bad guy too. And they loved him, especially my granny. My granny really held on to the hope that he would straighten his life out, and he never did. But, I remember when I got my first tattoo, my granny, she called me son. She said, son, don't ever do that again.
Of course you didn't.
But you know what? My grandfather lived long enough to really see my brother and I do well at it. And I had a lot of cousins who asked a lot of my grandparents, and my brother and I never did. We didn't, when they died, people owed them money, you know what I mean? And we did not. And we didn't borrow from him, and he was impressed that I drove a Cadillac. He thought it was a waste of money, but just the fact that I could afford it, he was impressed with that.
That's old school, man. That is old school.
Yeah.
That's That's salt of the earth kind of thinking.
Yeah.
That's conservative thinking.
Yeah.
Save.
And he, I borrowed when I was 17. I borrowed $450 from him to put an engine in a car that I bought that blew up 6 weeks later. And he let me borrow the money, but he said, "What we're going to do is we're going to open a joint bank account, and you're going to pay me back into that account, so I can look at it and know that it's there." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "You'll pay me every 2 weeks. You'll pay me $50." And I said, "Okay." And so when I got the $450 in there, he said, "I'm not going to accept this money. It's yours, but you do not take it out of the bank. You just continue to add to it." He said, "I'd like you to continue to add $50 every 2 weeks, but if you can't do that, at least $50 a month." And sort of that put me in the mentality of paying myself when I got paid. Like I was, it put me in the mindset of, okay, I worked at a fast food place. I worked at Hardee's in Clifton Forge. And if I got a $247 check and I put 25 of it in the bank, I was like, well, I'm paying myself for later. And I tried to do that habitually. And now I still do it when I get paid. I just put a piece of it away, and I have for years now. And so, they're great people, and they gave me these great habits.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It became a habit. Habit speaks to bad things, typically.
Yeah.
But that's a good habit. You habitually incorporate that into your person.
Yeah. And now my kids do.
Yeah.
They have bank accounts, and they have more money at 12 and 14 than I had at 20.
And why? Because you taught them that.
But I started them earlier. I started them when they were 5 and 7, And I didn't get started until I was 17. All right, but anyway, enough about me. So, did you go to college?
Yep.
And so, close by, or did you?
Oh, no.
Got the hell out of Anderson?
It was actually after my first 4 years in the service.
Okay. Tell me about that. So, you graduated high school.
I didn't graduate high school.
You didn't graduate high school. Okay, I'm getting way ahead. Tell me about your teenage life.
You're asking. Teenage life was. Well, first I have to go back and clear up,
please,
my motivation. During the Second World War, yes, I'll answer that question now. I was old enough to remember. So I became imbued with the idea of being in the service, just being in the service.
Yeah.
So that guided me. So I made a deal with my parents. When I was in the 11th grade, I said, "Hey, if I don't pass the 11th grade, will you sign for me to go into service?" And they said, "Oh, sure. Oh, sure." Well, I took them up on it. And I failed the 11th grade, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I hated the school system there. God, I hated it. It was so terrible. It was that thing I said earlier about the split between the tie-wearing people and the non-tie-wearing people, the proletariat and the administrative / executive classes of people. And I failed that grade. And the day I turned 17, I joined the service.
Yeah.
So.
Were you ready to roll? Were they upset that you failed? Did they accuse you of doing it?
No, they didn't accuse me of a darn thing.
Yeah.
They just said, "Okay, we'll do it." They thought about it a little bit, said, "Okay." What I did was another sneaky. It was an in-run kind of thing. I went down to the recruiter.
Uh-huh.
I joined the Navy.
Okay.
I took the papers home, and I said, "Well," I actually said, "Remember that promise." "What promise?" "The one where you would sign for me to go into service." "You meant that, right?" "Well, yeah." Well, here are the papers.
Yeah.
Sign them and we're going to go. And they did, and I did. So the day I turned 17, I was sworn into the Navy, Columbia, South Carolina. And I finished 4 years of service.
So my brother was in the Army, and he told me that basic training that everyone says is so terrible is all psychological. He's like, people think it's physical and they think it's this one thing. He's like, it's really about being in your own headspace. And if you can maintain that it's not you against them and maintain the program, did you feel that way, or was it very difficult for you?
Let me understand the question. Did I feel it was physical versus psychological?
Well, that, or did you feel like when you see it portrayed in movies, and when you see it, and when you hear about it sometimes from people, and they think about basic training, it's like you're a maggot, you're a piece of trash, you're the worst, and there's someone screaming in your face all the time about how bad you are. Mm-hmm. And I know the concept of tearing you down to build you back up.
Yeah, okay.
Was it that way for you? Because my brother just said there's nothing those people could say to me that I believed. I didn't feel bad about myself. So if I could physically keep up, I was just fine.
That's kind of how it was for me, because I was committed. Remember, from a little kid.
Yeah.
From consciousness as a human being, I was going to be in the military. So whatever price I had to pay, I was going to pay it.
Sure.
So I didn't figure on it's a negative if it's physical.
Right.
And it's negative if it's psychological. I just simply accepted it.
Yeah.
It had its ups and downs.
Like everything?
Oh, hell yeah. No.
So let me ask you a little bit about the tone. You're talking about World War II and you're old enough to remember it. I know you're not old enough to be in it. But the tone, that's like really probably the last war, maybe where the American people were 100% in the fact that we're saving the world from tyranny, from true evil, from this despicable, Nazi regime. Was that the tone that your parents took? Was that the way that it was seen in your world?
It's just the way it was. It was that way universally.
Yeah.
Except for that 10%. There's always 10% that know what it's really all about.
Sure.
And that includes some facets of the government and some people. But that 90% just accepted it. It's just the way it was. You had to save this and save that, save everything. Mm. You blacked out. You had blackout curtains in your house and had tape on the windows and all that stuff.
Yeah.
For bums. You know what tape was for, right? You take the windows and it wouldn't shatter the glass and blow it into the house if we were attacked.
Yeah.
So all that stuff came to be.
Yeah.
No, I saw, back to your question, it was just the price I had to pay.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. It didn't matter what they did to me.
So what was your job in the Navy once you got out of basic?
A hospital corpsman, a medic, if you please.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
Huh?
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah. I stayed in the Navy a year, then I went to the Marine Corps.
And was that allowed? Typically, it was like a 2-year or 4-year cycle.
4-year. 4-year.
How were you able to navigate that?
Oh, just fine. I had my ups and downs, like you say.
Yeah.
But
the Navy just released you to the Marines?
No, the Navy provides some services to the Marine Corps. The Marine Corps...
Navy gives them rides, right? Mm-hmm. The Navy gives the Marines rides to where they're going, right? Marines pile on the ship and they take them somewhere.
Marines would take exception to that remark. But the Navy provides services to the Marine Corps because the Corps, Regents Corps, they were a corps of really naval infantry.
Okay.
They rode the ships. They were on the ships. A detachment of Marines aboard ships to do land battle. So naval infantry, you could say.
That's what I was trying to say. You just said it better.
Yeah, but no. The Marine Corps was where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So I devised that. I got everything out of the military that I ever wanted. Everything.
Yeah.
And there's more to come. There's more to say about that. But
sure.
Wanting to go to the Marines as a medic, I did it.
Yeah.
I went aboard an aircraft carrier just after basic training. We went on a Far East cruise, went all over the Southeast, the South Pacific. Had a lot of experiences. At 17 years old, a lot of experiences.
You care to share any of it?
Oh God, yeah. Well, some of it I can and some of it I can't.
Sure. I understand that.
An example would be that I was always tempting fate, you say. So on the carrier, we had a superstructure, like this is a flat top, and you have the superstructure, that's the, up here, the radar, the tower, the control, all that, look down on the flight deck and see the planes taking off and control the planes taking off and all the signaling back and forth from ship to ship.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, my favorite thing to do was to sneak up to the O10 level. That's the negative, the O10 level. Not, where the radar is, could have been fried like a crispy critter, and sit and watch flight offs at night. Get into a typhoon in the South Pacific.
Mm-hmm.
Had to tie the aircraft down to the flight deck. So I snuck up there. Once it was off limits. I snuck up there. And there was an S2F sitting outside, and the propellers had one with the propeller right down, hanging down. So I wrapped my arms around the propeller so I wouldn't get blown away. And I sat there and watched. The bow of the ship would go seemingly under the water. It would pick up some water and throw it back over the deck, and we're pitching and rolling and yawing all at the same time. Yeah. That kind of thing. And that was a hoot. I mean, you sit here looking, and you see water. You don't change the way you're looking, the direction. Just water, sky, water, sky, water, sky. That's how bad you're pitching, rolling, and yawing. And that was fun.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, so that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Is that when you first got tattooed?
Oh yeah, I had. Absolutely. I first got tattoos in San Diego.
Yeah. Whereabouts? What, do you remember the shop name?
I don't remember the shop name. I swear it's been so long. Yeah. But by the time I was 18, I had all four tattoos that I got.
By the time you were 18?
By the time I was 18.
Wow. Tell me again what you had. You showed me back in the day. I know you got them removed, right?
Yeah, the laser, they're still visible. The ghosts of the tattoos are there. Yeah. I've been contemplating whether to get them back on or not. What the hell? So this was a geisha girl.
Yes, sir.
This was an eclectic mixture I got in San Diego, Guam, and not Okinawa, but San Diego, Guam, and Japan. It was American flag and eagle and the names of the places that I'd been. And over here was, contrary to this one, this was a very beautiful sailor girl. Yeah. And this was a sailing ship, a tall ship, mast ship.
And they were pretty big tattoos, right?
Yeah, they were big.
If I recall, I kind of remember.
Yeah.
When we first met.
I covered from here to here and here to here.
Yeah, that's
and
how
here to here and here to here.
Yeah.
So.
Man.
So yeah, and I kept them on there.
And so you don't remember the name of the shops? Can you just describe the experiences? Did you go with your buddies? How'd you pick out what you wanted? All those things.
Well,
do you remember what you paid for anything?
My father had a tattoo because he was in the Navy in 1916, I think, 1917 for sure. And he had a picture of a sailor here in her forearm, and that's where tattoos first caught my eye. Yeah. I never said anything to him about it, but they did. That did. He inspired me to get tattoos. Doesn't even know it.
What did your folks think when they saw you with those tattoos?
My mother said, "Oh, Jerry," and that's all she said.
Yeah.
That's all she said. I swear that she didn't say anything else.
Did your dad say anything?
No.
He didn't mention them?
No.
No. That's all right.
Didn't say a word. Because he knew he couldn't.
It was done already, right? Plus he had one. So
he had one. Yeah, he's going to say that pot couldn't call the kettle black.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's what happened, and I covered them for years, you know.
Well, so a lot of times, when I see a fellow your age with a tattoo, that's the age that your tattoos are. When I ask them about them, that's almost the first thing they do is almost say, "Oh, this whole thing can kind of cover it." Like there's almost this moment of like shame, And I know you got those in the, well, I guess the 60s.
50s?
50s, late 50s, yeah. In regular society, that was frowned upon. It was probably a marker that, okay, Jerry was in the Navy. They could probably tell that you were a military man.
Yeah.
But, like you said, you covered them for years. It's not something that was promoted. It was something that was sort of just pushed to the side because it was considered for sailors and bikers and bad guys.
Yeah, like a sign that was on at Virginia Beach at one time, years ago, said, sign in a yard said, sailors and dogs keep off the grass. So that gives the spirit and the public attitude about them. We all live with the mores and attitudes that we grew up in. You grew up in a pool of attitudes, right? Mm-hmm. And it changes, but you have to wait till it changes to do anything about it.
Yeah.
That was the underlying theme. If you have tattoos, you're a bum, you're scum, you don't count, you're no good, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that's just not so. And so you play the game with them. And I played the game with them. I became Mr. Coat and Tie, Mr. Corporate Guy, and I covered the tattoos. I wore long sleeves. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this. There was once upon a time, a guy who was my supervisor. A guy walked, we were having lunch together. He didn't know Adam. And a guy walked in, he's a working guy,
Yeah.
proletariat. And he had tattoos, all his arms and all this. And my boss said, geez, look at that guy. God, can you imagine having tattoos? Yeah, Jesus Christ. And all this stuff. And I sat here laughing because I had them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you think that it's ignorance that was the prevailing influence at those times. Tattooing is a very old art.
Yeah.
It very doesn't even cover it. Tattooing is an old, ancient art.
Yes.
And it's to be respected.
Yeah.
And people don't because of what they've been taught. They hear mom and dad say, oh God, if you have tattoos, you're bad.
What I have learned over the years is sometimes it's about freedom. You know, your boss was not nearly as free as that working class man. Mm-hmm. That working class man was doing what he wanted to do. And
you're absolutely right.
And there's something about society that maybe kept your boss. He might not want tattoos, but there might be something that's frowned upon that he wouldn't do that he maybe wanted to because of the way society viewed it. But you know, some of the freest people in this world are covered in tattoos, mm-hmm. and they live their life according to their own standards. You know, sometimes it's expression, but sometimes it's just it's exercising their freedom to be an individual.
That's right. I think I'll use myself as an example. I'm a fairly smart guy. I have tattoos. I think that dichotomy is a thumb at the world. It's a thumb at the ignorance
Yeah.
of the world. And that attitude we talked about hating people or disliking people or shunning people who have tattoos back in those days when they did it, mm-hmm. that was pure ignorance.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean they're stupid people. That just means they were ignorant of the facts. Yeah. They don't know the history of it. They don't know where it came from. They don't know what it's for.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, like I said, my granny was disappointed, but she was a beautiful person, and I love her with all my heart. She didn't want me to have tattoos. You know, that's just the way it was. But I had my great-grandmother on the other side of my family. I was telling her, hey, Granny's really upset. And she just said, well, I think they're pretty. Just don't change who you are. They'll be just fine. Yeah, and she was a very much God-fearing person, and she went to church religiously, and she was, you know, she was one of the most amazing people I ever knew. And she had more faith in God and her Christian beliefs than any person I've ever known in my life.
Really?
And it was fascinating. And I'm always in awe of that, whether it's for in Christianity or whatever your faith is. People who are really devout and really true to the Word, I'm always fascinated by that. But when she passed, she sent my grandmother. This is my great grandmother I'm talking about. So she sent my grandma a letter about 5 years before she passed, and she said, "Open this when I die. In the meantime, just put it away." So when my grand died, my grandma got with my mom and my aunt. She opened this letter, and it said, "If you're reading this letter, don't be sad, because there's a glorious reunion taking place in the house of God. And I'm with my sisters, and I'm with your father, and I couldn't be happier to see my family. I'll be waiting when you get here. But in the meantime, I would like to have an open casket, and here's the name and number of the preacher that I would like to preach over me at this church. If you go in the back of my closet, in a dry cleaning bag, is the dress that I'll be buried in. I'd like to have my glasses on.
Wow.
I've already paid for my headstone, and it's been placed on my grave. All you have to do is have them add the last date. If you call this florist, these are the arrangements for the flowers. I've paid for them already. And all you have to do is tell them the account, and they'll make sure they get sent." I mean, she literally took care of every single facet of her, transition,
Yeah.
so that my grandmother wouldn't have to deal with it. All she had to do was grieve.
That's a gift.
And it was an incredible gift. I've never heard of anybody doing it so meticulously other than her. And so when we went to the funeral, I was a little boy. Well, I wasn't a little boy. I was a teenager. I was 18 probably. I was a little boy when my other great grandmother died. But this lady, this old woman, people just started testifying in the church about my grandmother. Her name was Letha Lambert.
Lisa?
Letha.
Okay.
Letha. The old name, you don't hear it much anymore.
No.
And people just started talking about how great she was. And she was a member of that church for 55 years, something crazy. And this old woman said, I moved here. This is in Huntington, West Virginia. She said, "I moved here from Ohio, and I didn't know anybody, and I was pregnant, and I just didn't know what to do and how to find my place in this community. So I came to church here, and Letha welcomed me with open arms. And when I had my baby, she immediately took my baby to the church nursery and would look after him so that I could worship. And they became very close. And then this 45-year-old man stands up, and he's the baby that she's talking about. And he talks about my great-grandmother.
Wow.
Just incredible, man. And she was an amazing person. But tattoos didn't faze her at all. She didn't care one bit. And when she died, I got praying hands for her, for Graham.
Oh, yeah.
Andrew did it for me when I said I was 18. But she didn't care one bit. It didn't bother her. She didn't pull out any Bible scriptures. She didn't say it was against God. She said, "Just maintain your integrity of who you are. You'll be fine."
Well, it's. I said people are ignorant. That was not a slam. That was just the current way of thinking.
Yeah.
Universally.
Sure.
Just kind of.
But man, you really, you navigated your whole life with large tattoos. Mm-hmm. Like, what was it like that you had a romantic interest and you were going to meet her father? You had to deal with that shit, right?
Yeah, I wore short sleeves.
Intentionally. So he knew?
No, they knew. They didn't. I met my wife at the Pentagon, and we were slated. When I met my wife, she was a lot younger than I am. She was 20 years my junior.
Is this your only wife you ever?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I had another wife, but that didn't turn out too well.
Sure.
But I met her. We were going to a birthday party for her little nephew. And my future wife's mother came, and she wouldn't even look at me. She literally wouldn't look at me.
Yeah.
Because of the old attitude, the old orientation to marriage. And I decided then and there that if her father wouldn't come, he would not come. I decided I was going to go to him. I did.
Yeah.
I went down and met him, and my future wife's brother said, "You're going to go meet my old man?" I said, "I'll tell you what, you've got more balls than I've got."
Yeah. Where were they from? Were they Southern?
No, they're from Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
So I went down and met him. I didn't know what to expect. Being in the military, I didn't care. It just is.
You can face difficult things. This is one of those things.
Sorry, just another thing to face.
Yeah.
And truth, because I loved her.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going to keep me from her.
Yeah.
So we talked for about an hour and 45 minutes. And after that, it wasn't even a contest. It wasn't even an overt questioning to find out about me. We did find out about each other.
Sure.
But it ended in mutual respect, and forever in his lifetime, it lasted that way.
Yeah.
That was good.
Was the opposition the age difference? Or plus the tattoos or whatever? Anything they could come up with? In other words, if she says, I've met a man, he's 20 years older than me. And they're going to say, well, what are you doing? And then oh, by the way, when he gets here, he's got giant tattoos on his forearms.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just adding on. And so they were just opposed to all those things because they didn't know you.
Right. I was the evil old man coming to seduce their daughter.
Right.
And run away then. Disappear. Vaporize. Never to be seen again.
Clearly wasn't the case.
No.
So you maintained a good relationship with them afterwards?
Well, they've both passed now.
No, I mean, but just in the time you were with your wife?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Good folks.
A great relationship. They lived down in the northern neck part of Virginia, and I would go and help clear a little land and burn a little brush and work all day. And into nighttime, her mother would come out and say, Jerry, it's time for Wheel of Fortune. Okay, I'll be there in a minute. And that kind of relationship, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Time to come at 7 o'clock.
and her father he chose me to write his epitaph eulogy.
Yeah. That's fascinating.
So I was honored to do that.
Did they pass before your wife?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she died of cancer.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how we came to know one another, right?
Yeah, it
You
is.
came in the tattoo shop to get a memorial tattoo for her. Yeah, but you also, I remember you just hanging around a little bit each time you came in, and I would always work in the front back in those days, and we would just chat a little bit about any of the things we may have touched on here today. And it was always a fascinating conversation. I always enjoyed it. And then I would occasionally see you out and about. And then your daughter started coming in, and I didn't realize that she was your daughter. And then you told me my daughter's been coming in here regularly, and when we finally put two and two together, I was like, oh. And then so when I saw her, I was like, I know your dad. And she's like, what are you talking about? But I saw you around town a couple times. When was the last time I ran into you? Was it a barbershop?
No.
You
Wait.
one time, and I just walked by and I went, whoa, that's scary.
Yes, that was the very last time.
Yeah.
But the time before that was at Walmart.
Okay.
And you had your wife with you.
Uh-huh.
And we stopped and talked. You gave me a bumper sticker. Right? It's American Eagle. It's the eagle on it. I said American Eagle. It's not right. It's the logo.
Yeah, the Alley Cat with the wings.
The Alley Cat logo. And I've still got that. I had it up. I had it on a side table at the house for the last two and a half years.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man. Anyway, so let's get back to your tale a little bit,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
No.
So you're in the Marines. You're moving around the South Pacific. Is that correct? You got tattooed in Japan,
I got tattoos in
San Diego.
San Diego, Guam. What the heck? I said Japan, didn't I?
Yeah. Was it Okinawa, maybe?
Not Okinawa. I was stationed on Okinawa 14 months. Where the hell was it? You believe I've forgotten where I got the other tattoo?
That's all right.
Hong Kong. Hong Kong.
Wow. And do you remember any of those? The setting, the tone, where your buddies getting tattooed, any of that stuff?
Yep.
Lay it on.
One guy, first of all, with me, there was a tattoo shop just off of the where we tied up. We had to tie up out in the harbor, being a carrier, and we rode a launch in at Fenwick Pier, I think, was the name of the place. And then the tattoo shop was real close by, and I went in with a plan, and that's where I got the one here, the sailing ship.
Yeah.
And it was this big, and I said, "Can you make that a little bigger?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, I can do that." So he did that. And a friend of mine, he decided to get an eagle tattooed on his chest. His claws were here, right at the base of the sternum. The wings were up here on his shoulders, and the head was right here under his chin.
Yeah. Serious tattoo.
Serious tattoo, but he had a serious staph infection as a result.
Yeah.
And
Common back then.
yeah, that was in 1959, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but it all turned out well. He got treated, he got cured, and
He gave more tattoos?
I think so.
That's good to hear.
You know, but let's see, that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. The tattoos I got meant something, you know.
Yeah.
They were just a statement,
Yeah.
like you talked about before, like a statement that says, "You're all wrong for thinking the way you think."
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. And like I said, when I think about you getting tattooed in the 1950s and you being sitting here in 2025, I mean, that's a long road to travel. And those were big tattoos, man. Those were not.
They were pretty good size.
Yeah.
Medium, I guess. Well, I don't know.
They went
Pretty big.
Pretty much on your wrist to elbow, and that's on the forearm. That's a lot. That shows a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. And
Just show me before you leave. Show me what's left of it, if you don't mind.
not at all. I can get past the watch. This jacket grabs some material, so you have to sorry for the dead air, people.
We'll clip it out. No big deal. Yeah, that sucker's mostly gone, man. You can see a little bit of that.
Right there, down to here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one was here down to there.
Yeah.
And this is the ugly ass Keisha girl. I'll have to cut that out or not.
That's fine.
Now you can't see. But she was ugly. She was huge.
Yeah.
Her face was so distorted.
So, to have lived with those tattoos for so long, what motivated you to get them removed?
You know what?
If you don't mind.
Not at all. It was very simple. I just wanted to see what my arms would look like without them.
I mean, you did wear them for a fucking long time.
Yeah. I wore them for about 40-something years.
Yeah.
And that's literally why. I just wanted to see what it would be like to see my arms without them.
Yeah.
And I've kind of regretted it since. Getting them off, I mean.
Yeah. I hate to see them go.
Yeah. Because they were old school tattoos. But they faded.
Sure they did. That's life, man. They've lived and been everywhere you've been, and they've seen a ton of sun, and that's part of that. But that, to me, that's part of the character and the beauty of those old tattoos.
This was beautiful. It had a sailing ship. The hull here had the sunset here on either side of it, backlighting it, you know. And down here was a word. I think it was Hong Kong. It was Hong Kong, and a rose right there.
Yeah.
And the petals. I always tell the kids, they say, what is that on your arm? I say, well, I can't tell you. I said, if I tell you, you promise, you have to promise not to say anything or I'll have to come back and hurt you. You know. But it looks kind of like a dragon when you look at it that way.
Sure.
Looks like something, you can't tell it now, but what the heck, you have fun with it.
So how long were you in the Marine Corps?
3 years.
3 years in the Marines. Then
3 years medic.
Then from there, what'd you do? And during that time, you said 15 months in Okinawa. Where else did you go? Obviously Hong Kong.
Japan. Not to Hong Kong when I was in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
Went to Japan, spent some time there and living in tents at the base of Mount Fuji. Rain, but we had fun.
Yeah. And at that point, it's your job. You're a medic, but you have time off and you go into town and you do whatever you choose, right?
Yeah, time off, or in the evening when things would die down. Like I said, we lived in tents. We ate out of mess kits, and it was truly living in the field, in the boonies.
Yeah.
Do things like go down and get a hot tub bath, a hachi bath, they call it,
Yeah.
and hang out at the bars and hang out with the girls and hang out at the clubs, have fun cheating on each other.
Yeah.
I'd have to explain that. There was this one. I'll explain one.
If your kids are grown, anything you say here,
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't. There were two brothers. Huh?
Your mom's not going to hear it.
There were two brothers, Marines, of course,
Yeah.
and we were all at the bar. And they were twins actually, and one of them had a girlfriend there. Well, I decided I was going to steal his girlfriend. So we disappeared somewhere upstairs, and he found out that I had disappeared upstairs, and she had disappeared too. And the door was locked, and the last thing I remember is he was pounding on the door. Doc, I'm going to kill you, you son of a bitch, I'm going to kill you. And I started laughing, and there was a window, second floor. So I climbed out the window and disappeared. Never saw him that day, and he never said anything about it. He got over it.
Yeah. He probably didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, it was fun. But that's the kind of thing. I was in the artillery. I was in the infantry. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of experiences with the different types of things.
Yeah.
And to finish that off, it's, after I got out of the service, the first 4 years, I went to college in California.
Okay.
I got some college. I got it was a junior college, they're called then. I got that, but in one of my classes was a senior NCO, and he saw that I was in the military, and he said, "Well, why don't you come up and join the unit?" I said, "We're a medical unit." But that fit right in with me.
Yeah.
So I went up and joined, and 2 years later, I had a chance to go to Army Flight School. So I went to Army Flight School, became a helicopter pilot,
Oh, shit.
and flew 2 tours of Vietnam.
Wow. So my buddy Chuck that I told you about earlier, he had done steel mill, and he did time in Vietnam, and he was sort of I don't know he was a Marine, and I don't know exactly what the job was called, but basically him and his team would go in first and look for explosives before the whole group would go through, and
EOD.
When he joined, he said they told him you'll never see Vietnam. And then he said shortly after that they sent him to California, and that's the first step. He's like, as soon as if you go to California, the next thing, next stop's the jungle. And I said, Chuck, how do you feel? And you were a little bit older, but he was 19 and a pregnant wife and all. And I
That's
said,
tough.
I said, they promised you weren't going to go to the jungle. And how here you are facing this reality, and how do you feel? And he goes, I didn't fucking feel. I was 19 years old. I did what I was told. He said they don't send 35-year-old men into the jungle because they'll tell them to go fuck themselves. He said they send boys into that. Mm-hmm. And he said I was a boy and I did what the fuck I was told, and that's that reality. Mm-hmm. And he just kind of went on, with the conversation from there.
Yeah, you do.
You were a little bit older, and it takes probably a little more time to become a helicopter pilot. Is there any experiences that be like, what was it like for you? Anything you want to share from Vietnam? When I think of a helicopter pilot in Vietnam, I think of every movie I've ever seen from Vietnam. I think of you,
Apocalypse Now.
dropping fellas off and them taking off into the jungle and you flying away, and then when there's a rescue and everyone needs to get out, you drop in and you pick folks up and you get them out of there, that sort of shit.
Well, the units I was in wasn't a lift company. That's a lift company. They would insert and they would extract troops on combat assaults.
Right.
We did some of that, but we didn't do it as a regular thing. Mine was a general support aviation company, and we flew what we called ash and trash missions, just whatever, ranging from simple things to not so simple things, dangerous things, not so dangerous things. A lot of the people in my unit got killed.
Yeah.
I remember one night, the old man was the CO. The old man was talking with the pilot of one particular group, and he said, he called his name and said, "You've already flown 90 hours this month. So, you think you're up to this?" He said, "Yes, sir. I'm up to this." "You sure?" "Yeah, I'm flying." Well, the short story is the next day, he and 4 operators in his helicopter were entrapped by a triangular. They were here. They flew right in, lured in by this gun, 51 cal NVA, lured in here, and then they opened up on them. And at 400 feet, they shot him down. So that's the kind of thing we were subject to.
Yeah.
It was just that, from that to flying at a low, almost getting shot down by friendly fire artillery.
You find yourself in a lot of situations. We don't, we do as much of this as you want to. You don't have to.
That's right. That's right.
You're not to. But you found yourself in situations where you were being shot at. Was there like mounted guns on your helicopter? Were you actively?
My second tour, the first tours, I would have occasionally, sometimes, I had a gunner or a crew chief, and we had an emergency in the field one day and had to land, and they were getting close, and we escaped that, no problem. No, it was pretty good. The closest I came to getting shot down was my second tour. I was flying a general officer. I was his pilot in Vietnam, second tour. He was a helicopter pilot. And I had his seat rigged up so he could see sideways out of the helicopter. And there was a particular base. I'll just keep it quiet what the base was. There's a particular base on the border that was being shot up, and they were in really serious trouble.
Yeah.
And he leaned out and he said, "Duncan." So they're trying to shoot us down. The trainers were coming up under the helicopter like that. So that's the closest I came to getting shot down. I did not get shot down.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Did you ever fly after you were in the military? Did you ever fly privately for any reason?
A little, but I chose not to. I chose not to.
Sure.
Because of the probability of failing a medical test and having a career end at that point.
Sure.
I was short-sighted.
Yeah.
That could have transitioned, that could have morphed into another career, but
Yeah.
I went ahead and got my degree in basically it was called Professional Aeronautics from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. That was a little heavy in, fairly heavy in airport management,
Right.
but I didn't even pursue that. I just went about my business like I always did. What's next for me? What next is most probable? What should I do
Yeah.
most likely? And I flew a little bit afterward, just
Yeah.
for fun.
So you get your degree in California, you said?
Embry-Riddle, Florida.
Okay, gotcha. And then we've covered 3 branches so far.
Yeah,
Got to be the Air Force.
yeah, Air Force.
And how'd that come about? What'd you do there?
It was that NCO I mentioned. We were in school together,
Yeah.
and had a class in sociology together. And he found out I was in the service, and he said, "Well, I'd been thinking about it anyway because I didn't want to lose those 4 years. It was an investment of 4 years." And then I said, "Well, that's a throwaway." And sure enough, he popped up just at the right time. He said, "Why don't you come up and join the unit?" Yeah, and I checked on the unit. He told me about it. I went up and I joined the Air Force Reserve.
Gotcha.
I went to Travis Air Force Base, and we took care of, and the way the flying came about, Travis Air Force Base was second casualty clearing hospital. Guys coming back from Vietnam and shot up and damaged and all that stuff. We took care of them. there was an ongoing thing when we weren't there, but when we came in, we took over too. We cared for the guys. And there was this Cobra pilot, a second lieutenant, and he had his arm shot off. Really, it was right about there. And we're just talking, and I said, well, I've only had really two loves in my life, medicine, which I'm doing, and flying. He said, well, you could do that. I said, well, what are you talking about? He said, the Army needs helicopter pilots. The very next week, I was in San Francisco saying, I'll join the Army. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
And I did. That was my Air Force experience. It was just going up to 2nd Casualty Clearing Hospital, taking care of those guys, and meeting that lieutenant, that Cobra pilot, and getting the chance to go fly. It's like everything was mapped out for me.
Sure.
I hate to be too ghostly like, but I got everything. As I said, I've gotten everything. I got everything that I ever wanted out of the military.
Yeah.
It's not selfishly. It's just, what's the next logical thing I can do?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's how life is. You have to go, in order to what suits you at the time, and like my friend Annette has been in the tattoo business for 30 years. She's just tremendous. You'd love her.
Is she here?
She's not here. She's her and her husband. That's Porter. Her and her husband own a tattoo shop in Yorktown area. But when she started in Florida in the 80s, she said her boss told her, everything you ever want in life will come through that door of the tattoo shop. And she said, it surely has. And I gotta say, just about everything I've ever wanted in life. I mean, the best friends I have in this world I've met through coming in the tattoo shop. I met my wife. She came in the tattoo shop. I've been very, very fortunate in that way. And it's just, like I said, it's just the circumstances, how I navigated this business and how I ended up here. But everything I ever wanted came through that door at the tattoo shop.
Did you find yourself asking, almost subliminally, well, what's my next opportunity? What's the next thing that can happen that can be good? What can I take advantage of?
I facilitate for these fellas and ladies that work here. I make it easy for them, and I'm good at that. And I like to host people, and I like to care for people, and I like to cook for people, and I like to just take care of folks. And so sometimes tattooers, in their creative mind, they're not the best business people. Not universally, but just in some cases. And I learned that the people I was dealing with weren't always good at handling their business, but that I could help them and I could create a job out of that. And that's how I sort of got so heavily involved in the business. Because at first I was making body jewelry and selling it, and then I became a piercer, and then I became a shop manager, and then an owner. But I'm always looking for another opportunity, man. The podcast has done good for us, and mainly in opening doors and creating relationships. That's the big thing. And so that's just something that I just wanted to do, and I got it done. You know what I mean?
Well,
I just wanted.
One thing led to another.
Yeah. I have a good friend of mine who was a writer of Rosetta Stone, and he's a musician, and he and I traveled a lot while he played music, and I just always told him these stories about the tattoo business, told him stories about growing up in the mountains, and he was like, we're going to write a book, because he was a writer. And then Rosetta Stone, cut big time, and his department got cut. And so that was his life, and he kind of panicked for about a week, and then he said, I'm going to see if I can get into law school. And not only did he get into law school, but he got like the top percentage in the LSAT grades, and he ended up going to Harvard. Harvard offered him a spot.
Jeez, good hit.
It's kind of fat, I've been saying for years he's the smartest man in the room, And so when he got that opportunity at Harvard, he said, "Look, I'm not going to be able to write a book for you. You have to start a podcast. It's important that you do that." And so he was like, "People need to hear your stories, and you're a good talker, and you should just do it." And so I put it off for.
You are a good talker.
Thank you. I put it off for 6-8 months, and I told my brother, I said, "Look, I'm going to need somebody to listen to me do this, but I'm going to record something." And I put it off for another 2 months, and then I said, 3 weeks in a row, I said, look, we're going to record something today. And we just got busy. And that third week, I said, listen, we're going to record something right now. And he was like, what are you going to record? And I said, I don't know, but we're going to do something. And so we finished lunch and we did a couple things and wrote a couple checks to bills and stuff. And then, most phones have a recording app on them. And I just sat across from him like I'm sitting across from you. And I hit record and I just started talking about Clifton Forge and just where I grew up and the characters around me and that sort of thing. And I talked for 47 minutes or something like that. And the following week I did it again. And I got 4 hour to hour and a half sessions, and he would chime in a little bit. And then I sent them off to a bunch of people, tattooers, for them to listen to it. And they all gave me positive feedback, didn't critique it at all. They didn't say you should change this or you should change that. They just said, oh, that's great stuff, man, it's interesting. I listen to that while I paint. I listen to that while I tattoo. And then I just said, okay, well, I got this podcast now. My brother's like, you don't. You have to name it. You have to decide how often you're going to do it. You have to decide, like, somewhat of a direction. I was like, all right. So it's all about, just be storytelling. A lot of it's rooted in tattoo stuff, but it's storytelling. And then I'm talking to my wife, and in the Blues Brothers, when Jake gets out of prison, he asks his brother, when's band practice? And he says, the band broke up. He goes, you've been lying to me this whole time? He goes, oh, it's not lies, it's just bullshit. My wife said, you should call the podcast No Lies, Just Bullshit. And when I first heard that, it didn't sound slick. Like anytime you hear something the first time. But I thought about it and I was like, yeah, that's it. And it's become big in the tattoo world, and a lot of folks listen all over the world. But yeah, I'm even now I'm looking for opportunities. I was looking for an opportunity to get the fuck out of that building down the street because it wasn't good for us. Our landlords didn't care about us, and the building was crumbling.
So many landlords do that.
Well, it sat empty for a year, and now they're putting a new roof on it and they're remodeling it. But when I was giving them a ton of money every month, they wouldn't change it.
He saw the light. Oh, you got to fix the damn place up.
yeah. But but it turned out to be good for us. I'm glad because it made me eager to get the fuck out of there. Mm-hmm. And we purchased this building, and we have all this wonderful space.
That's what's interesting. Sometimes the negative is really doing a favor for you.
100%. Especially if you were looking, there's no way I would let that concept defeat me. You know what I mean? That just motivated me. So yeah, he was pissing me off and treating me poorly, but it motivated me to do the next thing. And that's just the way I am. And he was the guy that was, it's funny because he did everything sort of under the guise of being a Christian. But like I said, he said to me, "Oh, if you up and leave, I'll have no problem putting another tattoo shop in there." And that was a threat.
The guy that
rented from.
Oh, it's clearly a threat.
That was a threat to my business. That was telling me, "Hey, somebody will come in here and they will just make money off of the work you've put in for the last 23 years."
That was a threat to the $1,100 you paid him every month.
I paid a lot more than that, buddy.
Well, whatever you paid him.
A lot more than that. It was $1,100. But yeah, and that's just the type of guy he was and how he ran it. He always would lean on me, and I said, you can do whatever the fuck you want. And at some point I told him, I said, I'm never going to give you another penny, not one more penny. And he started demanding money because we had some time left on our lease. And I am a man of my word, and I don't think it's a good idea to leave when you have an agreement to walk out on it. I don't.
No, it's not.
But in Virginia, if the space that you're renting is inhabitable, then you can leave.
That's right.
And our roof leaked for years, and our windows leaked for years, and we had floods. We had 11 floods in that building. And he just didn't give a fuck. So I told him, I said, every time this building's flooded, I wrote it down, and the date. And every time the roof leaks, I write it down. Yeah. And every time you've made me an empty promise, I've written it down. So if you want to pursue me legally, then fine. I'll just win. In court, I'll just win. I'll beat you.
Yeah.
And then he sent me one last letter demanding a crazy amount of money. And for the remainder of the lease, it was over $100,000. And I said, you can refer to the last conversation we had. And that was it.
He knew he was licked.
Yeah.
I'm facing something similar now. The place I live is townhouses. Mm-hmm. One townhouse I've just discovered has had about 5 runs of siding come off of it. It's been that way for at least 2.5 years. The covering on the firewall that separates townhouses is peeling away, and the owner won't do a damn thing about it. So my next move will be to go to the city and see if they'll do something about it.
Pain in the ass. I'm sorry you got to deal with that. Okay, so let's get back to your story a little bit.
Okay.
You said you met your wife at the Pentagon.
Yeah,
What were you doing at the Pentagon?
just looking at.
Tell me.
Yeah. It's no secret. It was a thing. I was part of a group of people working on a thing called Force Structure 2000, and that was to say, what's the Army need for the future? How do we design the Army? The people, material, and what do they need to do the job they'll have to do, and how do they do it? So we looked at all that, put it together, and briefed the Deputy Chief of Staff for Personnel on our findings. That was it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And she was working there?
She was in the Federal Credit Union, in the Pentagon Federal Credit Union. And that's an interesting story, how I met her.
Let him.
I went in, she was the front person, the glass office up front and all that, in a credit union, in the Pentagon Federal Credit Union. And I walked in to open an account. I smoked a pipe then. You had to sign in a book, put your name and all that, rank and all that stuff, because it's military. And she was a feisty critter, I'll tell you that. She was, definitely. And she was going through, taking care of business. She called my name. She said, Major Duncan. She sat down at her desk, and I sat in the chair beside it. She said, and what do you want? I said, what? And what do I want? Do you always treat potential account holders the same way? I mean, what, incredulous. She said, yeah, well, what do you want? She just restated it.
Yeah.
And it was like love at first sight. I said to myself, this has got to change directions. And I said to her, what do you know about tobacco? What do you know about smoking tobacco for pipes? She said, tobacco for pipes? What are you talking about? And everything changed.
Yeah.
And that day, I stalked her. I went back down at lunchtime, went into the dual line, out of two lines for checkout for lunch. I went in, asked where she was. Oh, she's going to lunch. I was lost, man. I said, what the hell now? And they said, but she just went right over there to the cafeteria. Oh, the cafeteria. And I went right over there, and I was stalking her. I was moving along with her in the line. As you in this line, I was in that line. She was here, I was there. And I arranged magically to check out just about the time she did. And I said, oh, hi. Mind if I sit with you? And we were not apart a day since then.
Wow. That's a great story, man.
Yeah, she was special.
That sounds like something that was written, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm not making any of it up, man.
I believe it. That's
Absolutely
cool,
the truth.
That's great.
Absolutely truth. But the tattoos, I've always wanted to get them back. So.
I know a guy.
You know a guy?
Yeah, I know.
He's a tattooer?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you want to do it, if you're serious about it, you can get whatever you want, man.
I know. We'll probably do that. We're probably going to do that.
So, as we said before, your wife passed. She had cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
How long were y'all together before she got sick?
30 years.
30 years. It's amazing. It's
30
amazing.
years. Yeah, she told me when she was at home in hospice, she chose to be at home in hospice.
Yeah.
And at some point, I said, she was kind of out of it, And I looked at her and I said, do you know who I am? She said, in a weak voice, she said, yeah. I said, who am I? She said, you're my husband. so that taught me, again, a lesson. Don't assume.
Yeah.
Don't assume. She was something.
I bet. I think you brought pictures of her down the shop, didn't you?
I think so.
Yeah.
I did bring a picture.
Yeah.
She looked like a baby when I met her.
Yeah.
She really did. I got a picture of her on my phone, but she was always young looking. She looked like she could have passed for a teenager or a 25-year-old woman, but she was only 20. She just had turned 22 when I met her.
Wow.
22. And one night she said to me, just out of the blue, do you know how young I really am? And that got my attention.
Yeah.
Because I was a little older, 20 years older.
Yeah.
And then she started laughing. She said, no, I'm 23 then. Jesus Christ.
And that's a sizable gap, but she wasn't a child. Like, once you're a grown person,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter.
She knew what she was doing.
Yeah,
I know what was going on. But she did obviously think about it, but I didn't think about the age gap. I didn't, and I still don't.
Yeah.
I don't think about the age gap. It's a strange thing. I think you'd say that men particularly, I say that, maybe it's true, but men particularly don't pay attention to the age gap. And some men, when they get gray-headed, you're an old guy and you're just chasing the young chicks, quote unquote.
Right.
You know? That's not true. That's not always true.
Sure.
There's a young woman now that I love dearly, and she's way younger than I am. But I've never ever been with an older woman,
Yeah.
so I can't orient to older women.
Sure.
And it's not that I don't want to; I just don't.
Well, I mean, you don't have to. You found the people in this world who make you happy. Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it goes. I'm 7 years older than my wife. And, a woman can make a man feel young. You know what I mean? They don't necessarily even have to be young to do that. But if it's the right woman.
You know what? As strange as this may sound, some people might have an opportunity to think about it and realize what I'm saying, and some won't. But when I met her, again, I was 20 years her senior, and I was thinking young. I never paid attention to age.
Sure.
So it was just a surprise when she asked me, do you know how young I really am? All of a sudden, I had to think, oh shit. So I call it reflecting off of the person. And when I looked at her, like a mirror, I reflected her age.
Yeah.
Because I can't see my face.
Yeah. I get that.
So
Yeah.
I reflected her age onto me. And only when she died did I start thinking about, and it wasn't right away, but I was thinking about, okay, I am older.
Yeah.
Wow, that's odd.
Because you didn't have her reflection to look at.
Right.
She wasn't present.
She didn't give that mirror effect back to me.
That's an interesting concept to think about. Wow.
Do you do that with your wife? I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think, I'm 47 now, and first of all, I don't think 47 is old, but I know it's old enough.
No.
Well,
Hear me? No. 47 is not old.
Right. And some of my closest friends are in their 80s. My buddies that I hang out with at the Moose Lodge in Shenandoah, they're in their 80s. And those are my buddies, and we run around and do whatever. But I don't know if it's the business that I'm in has always made me feel young. I'm always around young people. So I have that reflection in my wife and in my coworkers and people that come to
Absolutely.
this business and all those things.
And you do 47 very well.
Yeah. I don't know what's that.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry. This is Jerry.
Hey, how you doing?
You get in?
Yeah, sorry, boss.
We've been shooting this YouTube show, and this fella does all the work for us.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, sir.
It's good to meet you, Jerry Duncan.
Nice to meet you, Jerry. Avery.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
Escape out this way.
Oh, yeah.
See you, boss.
Yep. That's a perfect example. This kid, 21 years old, works for me, shoots this show. The concept, I had the concept, Porter and Andy do it with me, but we couldn't make it a reality. So that kid, 21, makes it a reality. And he's a constant reminder of, what it's like to be young. We just took him to a tattoo convention with us. He's learned a lot about this world that he knows nothing about.
I don't know if you've ever thought about it or not, about the reflection thing,
No, I haven't.
but
Genius.
that's what it is. It defines what the feeling is for me.
No, it's really well put. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Pretty
Well,
special.
I hate that you went through that tough time with your wife, and when we met, you were pretty frank about how difficult it was.
Oh, yeah.
And you were also very good at articulating how much she meant to you. And it made an impact on me. It definitely did. And I felt for you at the time, and I think that's the reason that I didn't feel sorry for you, but I felt for you in that you were experiencing a high level of emotions, you know? And I kind of know what that's like. And so, yeah, I always enjoyed chatting with you, and I'm glad the couple times that I've stopped you or you stopped me that we shot shit and became pals.
It's interesting that we've run into each other, too.
I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence at all.
Not really.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think that it's sort of like something has willed us toward one another.
Absolutely. There's a feeling, a saying, a thought that goes around that there are no coincidences. Well, maybe not.
Well, hey man, I enjoyed it. I appreciate your time today. Anything else you want to cover? Are you good?
No, I could talk forever.
We're going to be going an hour and 20 minutes.
Really, an hour and 20 minutes? God,
Well, we can go too if you want, whatever you think, man. If there's any tales you want to tell from any part of your life?
no.
No?
Maybe save some of it for the next time.
Maybe next time. All right, thanks, Jerry.
Absolutely.
Oh, well, I ain't going down that a big road by I said, I'm by myself, Lord, I ain't going down that big road by myself. Lord, can't get my baby gonna carry somebody else.
No lies, just bullshit.